What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome to Wednesday. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Felicia. So, let me take this off. If you on the East Coast, then you already know it is cold. The weather is like already getting nippy out here. Hopefully, my sound is good. Hopefully, you guys are able to chat today. There was an issue with the chat. I'm still getting used to engage with your audience. Okay. Oh, there we go. We got the first. All right, this is perfect. Yeah, because last week I was not able to do any of the chat. And I was like, oh my God, like this is crazy. Oh my God. Yeah, I get to do a poll. Oh, this is good. I see y'all in here. I see y'all in here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. But yeah, if you're on the East Coast, especially in the New Jersey, New York area, the weather, oh my God, the weather is breaking. It's really getting to that point where yeah, it's cold. As the older folks say, the hawk is out for sure. We have a lot to cover today. I don't even know if we're going to be able to get through all of it, but I'm gonna try my best. First and foremost, nutritional wellness guy here, Chef D. Welcome to Wellness Wednesdays nightcap every Wednesday live. We're here at 10 o'clock. And I'm excited because this is my time to share things that either frustrate me or things that intrigue me or things that I feel low key are out there to just really throw you guys off. Like marketing, a lot of lobbyists, a lot of companies are out here putting a lot of information out here to throw us off. So I was like, you know what? We need an equalizer. There's a lot of other great platforms who are doing this, but what tends to happen, they become big and then they start getting sponsorship deals, and then based on the sponsorship they have to start toning down their language. They can't say but so much because it's connected to a company that's connected to the other company, and the parent company is paying everybody. So I always make this declaration, even on my other podcasts, that I don't do the whole sponsorship promotion thing. That's just not what this platform is. I know that's where the money is when it comes to YouTube. However, I'm not on here for that. This is for knowledge, this is for education, this is for awareness. And I don't want to be limited on the information I find, especially if I find it to be hurtful to us. I want to be able to talk about it. I don't want to have to go through these different channels and be censored because of some paycheck. And I get it. Like, oh, you small now. You saying that now. But I'm saying that so I'm on the record so I can be held accountable, so y'all can let me know, like, oh, you switched up. Okay, now you switched up. I don't ever want to hear those words. And I'm older now. I'm in my 40s. So I have learned a long time. I've taken a long road this long. It doesn't make any sense to take shortcuts now. I literally have taken the long road on purpose because, for one, I don't want to have to edit my testimony. So when things really do happen the way that I believe God has already promised and manifested for it to happen for me, to have a community and a platform that is all about nutrition and wellness in such an exciting way that nobody feel left out. I want to make sure that when that part happens, that I don't have to edit my testimony. I don't have to like hold out on certain parts on how I got where I'm at, if that makes sense to you all. Not trying to be self-righteous or anything like that, but I do want to be accountable. And like I said, I've been on this road for a long time, so I'm not going to cut corners. Right off the bat, let's get right into it. Thank y'all for being here. Put in the chat where you're from, where you're listening from. Everyone's asking 10 p.m. is late. And I was like, it is late. And that's just what was put on my heart, to do this at 10 o'clock, because a lot of the other distractions and foolishness is done. And now this is the time we get a little bit real. This is not the entertainment platform. You get some entertainment from me. You get some entertainment education. But this is the nightcap. This is a segment and a time slot that is not really popular, but I want to popularize it. I want you guys to have something to watch at night. And low key, this can also be your cup of coffee, if you would, for your commute in the morning. So I have it done tonight, and you have the replay. So if you can't catch it tonight, it's cool. You catching the replay, and I'm obviously I get more views on the replay than I get live, which is understandable at first. All right, let's get right into it. So we're going to talk about the chicken industry, especially the chicken in our refrigerator. So what's happening I'm gonna play a clip. This is the first time ever playing a clip for y'all. Let me make sure I have my phone. I should make sure my phone is down for the count. But I'm gonna play a clip from you guys from very this is a great documentary, and they went deep into a farm in North Georgia that allowed them access, because this is, you really don't find access to these farms because they're doing some things to the food, and it's not illegal stuff. It should be, but it's not. However, it's the morality behind it that they don't want us to really know. So back in the 50s, that's when the poultry industry and even the cattle industry, they started to introduce antibiotics to their live feed, to their stock. And this initially was to help prevent disease, and also, they would lose a lot of money because these birds are in these cooped up areas. And this is not so much the farming side, like pasture raised, pasture roaming. This is like cooped up factory, that kind of stuff, that when we go to the supermarkets or these restaurants and we're getting our chicken, this is the value pack of chicken. This is not organic. This is not no antibiotics. I'm talking about just everyday chicken that these fast food companies are using, just the cheaper side of chicken. That's what we're talking about right now. So they're all stuffed up in these hen houses and these chicken coops. And what's happening is that the chickens are getting sick. When one chicken gets sick, think about it. There's like 10 to 20,000 chickens in a particular warehouse. When one gets sick, they all start to get sick. So they figured out, hey, let's just create antibiotics that's going to prevent disease. And what ended up happening, they started finding out that this didn't just help them not get sick. This also made them grow faster. This made them grow more plump. And this also allowed us to make more money on our profit because we weren't losing as many chickens as they were before. Fast forward to 2025, and you've been feeding back antibacterial. Think of us as humans. If you've been on antibacterials all your life, what's up, Debbie? What's up, Tosh? What's up, Jasmine? I see you, Felicia. If you've been doing antibiotics all your life as an adult, then just your body would start building resistance. Not just you, generationally, it would pass on and it would be linked through your DNA. That's just how it works. So just think about chicken that's been treated since the 50s, and we're now in 2025. I don't know. Here's a fact, and you'll probably hear this in the video. About 70% of antibiotics in the US are not given to humans, they're given to livestock. They're given to poultry and cattle. That's insane. The pharmaceutical company makes a lot of money on this. So that's why it's not popular. That's why they make it more expensive. When it says no antibiotics, organic, that they're going to make it expensive because they need public perspective to go for the other stuff, the stuff with the antibiotics. And they have done a great job with marketing and campaigning to show that there's no issues with antibiotics. Everything's okay. However, what they're leaving out of the brochure, I always say follow the money, but they're leaving out of the brochures, but about 20 to 30,000 people die from resistant, we call it superbugs, because there's no antibiotic to fight whatever bacteria. These are called superbugs or SuperBacs, and these are resistant to antibiotics. They're resistant to antiviral medicine. They're big dogs. They're the big dog stomping on the yard, and that in the animal gets transferred to us. And you have to think, like, how do we still have recalls with salmonella, and how are we still having with E. coli, like how are we still having recalls if the animals are on antibiotics? If it's a normal, just like they eat, because the antibiotics, it's not like they're going to all the chickens and sticking them with a needle. It's too many chickens. It's automatically in the feed. So it's not an optional, like, okay, everybody, come on, chickens, get your medicine today. No, it's in the feed, it's in the water. So if they're already treated with antibiotics, but there's still an outbreak, how? So this is why I want us in this platform. Again, this gets a little scary. And again, I thank God. I have no spirit of fear. If you know me, you know me. And I'm okay to share this kind of stuff. I don't know what backlash this is. I'm a small fish in the sea. But I promise you, I'm going to share what I know without any fear of any retribution, because at the end of the day, truth is knowledge. And I just trust in God that this knowledge will allow us to better equip our families. To be honest with you, I've stopped eating chicken, a lot of chicken, not altogether, but for one, I don't eat chicken unless it's organic, pasture raised. It sucks because when we go out to restaurants, we don't know what kind of chicken it is. So that's why I don't do the fast food thing. I try not to. That's cap. I have my days, Chick-fil-A, you pass by, you smell the smell. God help me. But again, I'm working on it. I'm a working progress. But I know better. So that's why it's a little harder for me to justify still, giving my money to these different establishments when I know better. And being in school and, going for my, just being in grad school, going for my master's right now, I'm hearing and seeing a lot more information that is just not out for the public. Shout out to my school, Purdue, where I did my bachelor's in nutrition science. Great program. I had some great educators, great professors, great peers, and it was a great learning experience. And now I'm glad to have transferred over to a private, that's the key, private institution, Bastyr, because again, that gives me a different angle on what information is being suppressed and what information is not being suppressed. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but when it comes to education at a publicly funded school, a federally funded school, there's a criteria on what can be taught and what can't be taught. It's a little different when it's a private institution, but that's just a conversation for another day. Let's just get back to chicken. So I made it up in my mind to just chill out with chicken for a little bit, like not having it every single meal. Mind you, I was the chicken guy, especially being in the gym. You need your gains. It's an easy, clean white meat. And again, I'm gonna save this for another episode, just the chicken, which is a hybrid bird. So we got to talk about how the chicken even became chicken. That's gonna blow your mind. And how the chicken is a hybrid bird, and it became a science project, and now it worked out for the people who invented it, obviously. But it's a hybrid bird. It's not a natural bird. We'll get into what the different fowls are. We'll get into different poultry, and on another episode, we'll talk more about how did the chicken even not cross the road, because that's corny, but how did the chicken even come to industry, and how did they find a way to genetically modify a bird that you can mass produce? It's billions of just think about it, think about it. There's nothing else on earth, like not even humans produce like that. There's nothing that produces that fast. There's so many chickens. Think about the cruise ship you've been on. Think about the airport you visited. Think about the resort you were on. Just think about the supermarket and the different restaurants. How is it that many chickens on earth? How is it that many chickens? So you got to start thinking outside the box, and you have to get to a point where you're like, okay, some things aren't supposed to be this way. And I'm not saying give up chicken altogether. There's a lot of people who have given up chicken, and they've noticed a lot of differences when it comes to their health, their GI health, fibroids, women issues. Like chicken has, especially, I don't know, we'll do this in another episode too, about blood type. So you've heard hype about eating with your blood type, but I think I'm gonna dig deeper on that for you all, so you can have a better understanding what eating on your blood type means. And for some people, chicken does cause issues based on their genomics, or what we call genomes. Another conversation another day. I got to stick to the script, y'all. I got to stick to the script. But that's why I'm cutting out on chicken. This week, I think I don't even think I had chicken this week. If I'm being honest with you, I don't even think I had chicken. I'm trying to think, when did I have chicken? I don't remember having chicken this week. And it's not a hard transition when you start understanding what's going on with your health. I love my energy. I want to stay forever young. I want to make sure my skin stays healthy. I want to make sure my mind stays sharp. I want to make sure I can. We all gonna get gray, but if I can hold off on my grays, I want to hold off. Again, I don't know if you understand, graying is genetics, but it's also prematuring. And it's ways you can reverse grays. It's a way you can delay grays. We'll talk about that this is supposed to be hair growth. We might get into some hair talk. But we'll have another episode where we get into grays, like the science behind grays, how to reverse grays. I remember I was starting to get a lot of grays in my head. I don't dye my hair or anything. I was getting a lot of grays throughout my hair. And I came on some research about grays and turmeric and pepper in Southeast Asia. And it was a lot of stuff. And it put me down a rabbit hole. And I said, okay, let me try this. And I did. And I started seeing the reverse. Now, mind you, there are some that pop up here and there. But again, going from it looking like it snowed outside to everything going back to that darker black, I don't know. I'll share it with you guys. Maybe it'll work, maybe it don't. But it has worked for me and it's worked for some other people. And I'm a big student of the science. I'm not a big student of the fads and the trends. I'm a student of the science. Oh yeah. All right. Let me play this clip for y'all. Let me see. I never played the clip for y'all before, so let's see. Is it gonna pull right up? Of course not. But it's cool because I got it in two places. Oh, you know what? I got it on here. Let's see if it'll play off of here. I got y'all. All right, here we go. So this, if you want to see the full article, actually, let me see if I'm gonna put it in the chat right now, how you can look at this full article. It's called "The Trouble with Antibiotics."
For the past 2 years, I've been investigating the emergence and spread of nightmare bacteria. Superbugs that are increasingly resistant to even the strongest antibiotics. The bacteria are fighting back.
Can y'all hear that okay?
Defeating the drug.
Correct.
I've been tracking the phenomenon through hospitals around the country, where doctors have been dealing with patients infected by these superbugs, which go by names like KPC and NDM1.
All these R's mean that the bacteria is resistant to that antibiotic.
I found outbreaks that have paralyzed some of our best hospitals.
And no matter what we did, the bacteria was still spreading.
More than 20,000 people a year are dying from these infections, and as many as 2 million get sick from them. What's become apparent is that these nightmare infections are being fueled by the overuse of antibiotics, creating bugs we can't kill. But the more I looked into it, the more I saw there was another dimension to the story.
Let me see if I can see.
It turns out most antibiotics aren't even used by humans. They're used on farms.
Do what we're doing at.
Is it possible that there's a pathway? I was thinking particularly of resistance. Could it go in bugs from the chicken house to the family table?
We don't know how often that occurs. We think that it probably occurs at a very, very low rate. That linkage is very difficult to connect the dots.
Scientists have long been looking for connections between these dots, trying to understand whether the use of antibiotics on farms is contributing to antibiotic resistance that threatens the health of people. As I dug in, I began to find new evidence that was complicated and surprising. My investigation took me to Flagstaff, Arizona, where I'd heard about some.
Okay, so I'm gonna spare you the details so you can go and check it out. So when he went further into his research, what he found was he sat down with the CDC and he sat down with the FDA. And the CDC is very clear and the science is very clear that when you overuse antibiotics, resistance is natural. And they're saying it's already happening. However, what's happening, why they haven't interjected, because back in the 60s, so there was a scientist and a doctor in the 60s who claimed the case, and you'll watch the documentary, who was like, hey, listen, okay, the antibiotics, the main reason was okay, but now we're starting to see a trend, and this is going to trickle over to human health down the road. And it is already happening now. And when he sat down with the CDC, he said the biggest issue is there's so many birds, there's so many different antibiotics being used, and there's so many sources, and the American diet is so all over the place that it's so hard to connect this farm to your sickness. So if you got food poisoning from an animal that had antibiotic resistance, it's hard to tie it back to that animal or tie it back to that farm or tie it back. What their argument is back to that antibiotic. They're saying it's hard, it's too many pieces in the middle to say that this antibiotic caused this issue. Even though the science is there, they have too many all over the place that they can't hold a person accountable who's supposed to be held accountable. And that's where I love Dr. Nancy Silver. If you guys check out my podcast, Coach's Corner, she breaks down like, listen, you have to do the work. Your primary physician, your doctor, I ain't saying they don't hate you. They just busy and they have more than you to take care of and more than you to consult and more than you to coach. Sometimes they are just trying, and you know, if the older you get, you know that sometimes you're just a guinea pig. They don't know what's really wrong. And they'll be honest, like, hey, I think it's this, I think it's that. I'm gonna give you this prescription. Let me know how it turns out. I'm gonna give you this prescription. Let me know how. That's your test dummy. And it's no sweat off of their back because it's not malpractice. And they still getting their kickbacks. Some of them are getting kickbacks because of the pharmaceutical company incentivizes our doctors to prescribe certain medications for us. And the cycle goes on and on and on. So that's why I'm on this platform and I'm just putting my heart out there. We have to do the work. We have to do the research. We have to do it. It's up to us. We can't count on our doctors or our medical teams to do this for us. Especially you got so many search engines now. You got AI, you have Chat GPT, you have all these things that are now helping you with knowledge. And I'm saying use them before they get censored. I hope you don't think that your AI model is just you have all the information you need. No, they are censored already and they have nodes and they have different coding that won't allow you to get all the information you truly seek. Trust me on that. It's enough information to bring it together, but there are some information that we won't have access to because we either not that rich or we not that powerful. We just not that connected. So I don't want you to get into the point where ChatGPT is your savior. Like it's the all-knowing mighty God. It is not. And humans already got their hands on it. So it is limited based on what it's going to tell you and how it's going to tell you. Just know that off the bat. However, while we still do have these tools, I want us to use them for food better. I want us to start taking pictures on the back of the label, the ingredient list. Hey, chat, good morning. I say good morning to mine. I say good afternoon. Mine is named Kai. I want to be nice to mine because I don't know what's going on 20 years from now. And I don't know what profile Kai is writing up on me about a good human, bad human. I don't know if they talk to each other. So I try to be cool with mine. Good morning, Kai. I hope your day's been good. I got a quick question. Don't want to hold you too long. That's just me and my little Chat GPT relationship. But seriously, hey, listen, here's a label. This is a product that I've used before. However, I don't understand all the ingredients. What are the pros and cons to these ingredients? Or I can't pronounce all the words on the ingredients. What are the pros and cons? Deep dive into the pros and cons and be critically constructive. That's all I tell it. And then it comes back. It don't give me the safe CDC answer, the safe FDA answer. It gives me a deeper scientific answer so then I can make the right decision for myself. Let me look at the chat. Oh yeah, that's so true. Gray hair is related to nutrition, I believe. Yeah, lack of melanin, and definitely it's a lot of deficiencies. The main, we might have time to get into hair because that was on the thumbnail, hair growth, which is some really good stuff in there. But yeah, what's happening with the hair, and I'll get back to chicken because we're about to switch up the segment. When it comes to hair, iron deficiency is usually number one. And then I'm sorry, vitamin D, and then iron. Biotin is usually not a deficiency. They got our minds warped with all of these biotin supplements, biotin gummies, biotin this, biotin that. Biotin only comes in handy when there's a deficiency. There's no such thing as, hey, I'm gonna get extra biotin to help because it's helping with scalp health and hair, but it's not with new follicle growth. That's what we got to be conscious of because they'll take all of our money if we let them. They will put biotin on every single package because we somehow without really deep diving, have associated biotin with hair growth, argan oil with hair growth. And we haven't really deep dived to figure out that, wait a minute, it's only going to work if it's a deficiency. And even if it's a deficiency, it'll bring me to a baseline. It's not going to, your hair's not, you're not going to turn into Rapunzel and your hair's going to come all the way down. You know how hair growth happens? Diet, lifestyle. You'll have some things against it, precursors that you're predisposed to, which is genetics. However, genetics can be an off and on switch. Your diet and your lifestyle, not just what you eat, it's also how you process stress. It's also about your mental health. It's about your sleep routine. How much sleep are you getting? How much fresh air are you getting? How much sunlight are you getting? How much hydration are you getting into? The gummies don't fix that. These hair supplement oil things is taking your money. Real health is from the inside out. And yes, there are some topical things you can use, but those are usually 1 or 2 ingredients. Those are from earth, 1 or 2 ingredients. When you start getting into all these super ingredients when it comes to hair growth and hair health and shampoo health, they're taking your money. So other than that, we'll finish up the segment with the chicken. So all I'm saying, you ain't got to give up chicken. I ain't saying give up chicken. I don't want to fight. I don't like to fight. I'm a lover, not a fighter. But all I'm saying is, in this day and age, I want you all to be a little bit more, I want you to be a little more intentional when it comes to the food you're eating. And I don't want you to think that just because it's in the supermarket, it's safe. I want you to do your homework. I get it. Economy is kicking our butt. Inflation is wild. However, things have equalized. And fast foods, we talked about this, I think, episode 1 or 2. Fast food is just as expensive as organic food now. So you just have to make that choice. And again, sometimes you don't. I'm a flexitarian, and I'm going to preach flexitarian to the day I'm 6 feet under. I finished the transcript for my book, The Flexitarian Formula, which I'm very excited about. We're going to push that a little bit more. Still, working on some of the background business stuff, but the book is done. The Flexitarian Formula is definitely my love language, and I'm glad to be a flexitarian. Which is a flexible vegetarian, but it doesn't, you can still eat meat, you can still eat dairy. However, we're very intentional, very selective on what we eat. We don't do a lot of the processed stuff. We don't do a lot of the fast food stuff. But again, there's no one size fits all when it comes to flexitarian. That's why the book is called Flexitarian Formula, because each chapter allows you to build up your blueprint on what that looks like for you and your family. However, it's just common sense eating all over again. And it gives you the power again. We're not going to be duped. This 2025, we're going into 2026. We're not going to be duped anymore when it comes to our health. Enough is enough. We're going to get ahead of this thing, and we're going to get our mental health back. We're going to get our natural energy back. Ladies, I God bless you. I'm so sorry. I know some of your cycles are off the hook. I've heard that your cycles are the worst they've ever been. Your menstruation is the worst it's ever been. We're gonna get that back. We're gonna get our health back. One Wellness Wednesday at a time. We're gonna get our health back. And again, I don't expect you to do all of these at once. I want you to stack these up. These are micro habits. I want you to stack up, and I want you to hear my heart on these. That this is information that's going to keep us ahead of whatever's about to come. There's things coming that's tearing up our household, tearing up our healthcare industry, tearing up the country. I want us to be sharp. I want us to be on top of our grind. I want us to be physically fit, mentally fit, spiritually fit, socially fit, and emotionally fit. Those are my 5 pillars. They're in the book. Those are the 5 pillars of health. I want us to be on the 3 M's, my foundation, which is mindset, moderation, and movement. We have to get locked in. Not tomorrow, not next week, not New Year's resolution. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. No. We got to be locked in now. We have to show now that we are ready for whatever's to come. And I'm not talking about some big Armageddon. I'm just talking about whatever's to come with the foolishness. There's so much foolishness going on, and staying healthy is hard. It's hard with the crazy labels we see. It's hard with the politics. Every time you turn on the news, it's hard. However, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God, for knowledge. Thank you, God, for wisdom. Thank you, God, for favor. Thank you, God, for protection. I thank God just for being God, because no matter how wild things get out there, I thank God for giving us in our right minds how to do better and be better. And that's what this platform is. Seriously, y'all. I got off on a tangent. Man, y'all don't understand how passionate I am when it comes to nutritional wellness, and how I want you to be able to re-script all your excuses. I want you to re-script it. Why you can't get to the gym, why you can't walk after your dinner meal, why you can't take the stairs instead of the escalator or the elevator. I want us to figure out what is really stopping us. And this is why, Felicia, thank you so much. I'm really going to get into StreamYard. We finally found the platform, so that way I can bring someone on for Healthiest Reset. Again, it's hot seat, but that's not the real name. The real name is called Healthiest Reset. And I invite any of you all to come on. And it's about 15, 20 minutes of the show. And we're going to help you re-script and give you your own blueprint and formula for what nutritional wellness looks like for you. And everyone will be watching. Again, I'm not a big bad bear, but I do believe in build, burn, build. I do have a tough love approach because I believe we all deserve honesty 100%. But I also know my pastor, who's also one of my mentors, he says this a lot. He says, discipline without love is abuse. So I'm not here to abuse anybody on Healthiest Reset. That seat is going to be all about love. It's going to be all about re-scripting you. And this is people who feel stuck. Let me be clear. This is stuck. Hey, I'm feeling stuck and I need to get unstuck. Whether you got a new job, whether you're in a depressive state, whether you're in a lack of motivation state, you don't know what's next, what's going on in your life, what's going on in the season. You have no idea. It's almost like God is not even close. Like he hears you, but you can't feel him like you used to feel him. This is for people who got crazy work hours and it's like hard to eat well or hard to meal prep and work, because by the time you get home, you're tired, you're drained. You'd rather just go to a drive-through and get some food. This is no shame. This is no judgment, but we are going to start peeling back the layers on what's happening, on why have you allowed, because first is taking accountability. Why have you allowed things to get to this point, and what can we do about it? Some of it's not your fault because of the biohacking that's happening with a lot of the companies and the ingredients they're putting in our food. So some of it is not on you. And I always share that information. It's not always on you. However, when you know better, you do better. And too much is given, much is required. So me sharing this knowledge with you also comes with a burden, because now what do you do with it? So Healthiest Reset, hit me up on DM me on Instagram, TikTok, email address, the chef, or you could do Chef D at thechefdbrand.com. Just, hey, I want to be on Healthiest Reset. We'll get on a discovery call offline. I'm gonna figure out what's going on in your life, and online with the rest of our family here, we'll go down what's going on. We'll start talking about what is going on in your life. All right, that's it for that. All right, next segment. Let's talk about the top 10 fads that has tore us up this year on TikTok, on Instagram, even Facebook, YouTube Shorts. These are the top 10 fads, viral. These are healthy, viral wellness fads that have taken over. Let's go over what they are. I'm gonna go through all 10. I'm gonna say all 10. However, I'm only gonna break down a few that I think really are the most dangerous. These are all weird. They're either weird, they either waste your money, or they're just dangerous. So I'm gonna share the ones that I think we should be careful for, because these influencers, let's be honest, we'll trust an influencer a little bit more than we trust our doctor now, because these are people we're seeing where they're showing us their family, they're showing us their lifestyle. So we naturally believe them. And when they share things, we naturally believe it. We really do. We don't cross-reference anything nowadays. When we hear something, how many times you see a post and you share it right away with family and friends without first checking the facts of that post? I'm guilty of it too. Just because it's either entertaining or educational doesn't mean it's true. And sometimes we are also perpetrators of putting out false narratives, and we don't mean to do it, but that's just the information generation we're in. So all 10, I'm gonna name them out. So number one, that was one of the biggest viral trends this year on TikTok, was the carnivore diet. We're gonna talk about that. Number two was internal shower drink. This was chia seeds and water and lemon. We won't really talk about that, but we'll get a little bit in it. The other thing was chlorophyll water. Now, again, inherently, these aren't bad. However, the way they've been proposed to us makes them dangerous. And that's the part I'm about to hit you guys on. Oh, this is a big one. This one almost messed me up. This one almost sent me to the hospital. This is extreme cold plunging, or cold plunging. And I'm going to tell y'all why. Don't let these influencers get your heart rhythm all jacked up and get you into a stroke. We're gonna talk a little bit more about it. You see everybody doing cold plunge, or the face, you're just, oh, I gotta do it. Before you do it, we're gonna have to talk. We will talk about that. Detox teas, and number 5 is detox tea and flat tummy teas. This was an old scam back in the day, but now it has new packaging. So we already talked about that on the last show, but we might hit it a little bit. I never heard of this one. This is called the raw milk movement. So I guess people are just going straight to the farm for the milk without getting it pasteurized. Makes sense because it's an old school thing, but doesn't make sense because these animals aren't the same animals they were back in the day. Unless you got a trusted farmer who you know is not using antibiotics and all this other foolishness on the cattle, then you're good. But not just going to any farm, not knowing what the medical records of the cattle are, not knowing what's in their feed, and then just wanting to drink the milk raw. Come on. Number 7, we'll talk about this. This is mouth taping for sleep. This is dumb. This is wild. When you see someone put a piece of tape over their mouth to go to sleep, so it forces you to breathe through your nose. Oh my God. Obviously, there's no scientific evidence that supports this helps improve sleep. And this is from the American Academy of Sleep Medicine. There's nothing connects this to anything medical or clinical. Just so you know, it's just a fad that people are on the bandwagon with. It's good for entertainment, but you need to know that it's just for entertainment. It is not for medical or clinical. Number 8 was overdosing supplements. I don't know if you know this, but people were mega dosing on supplements: vitamin D, iron, biotin, vitamin C, vitamin A, all the B complexes, omega 3s, omega 6. They were going crazy, thinking that it was going to enhance their inside somehow. But I don't know if you know this. There's a thing called UI, which is upper intake, or UL. I'm sorry, upper limit, and I'm thinking AI, adequate intake. So certain nutrients, there's a cutoff, or they become toxic or poison. So you can't just over consume vitamin D because it can become toxic. There's certain vitamins you can't go wild on. I know back in the day, people would go crazy on vitamin C because they want to prevent scurvy and some of the other stuff. But again, yes, there are some nutrients that even if you take too much, you aren't going to get poisoned, but you're just wasting your money. So you're wasting your money, and in the long run, you're probably stressing out your kidney and your liver to get rid of that stuff that you don't need. So let's get back to a place of balance. And and number 9 was silver water or colloidal silver. Now, I know a good friend of mine who was making colloidal silver in his house, which was cured me of a lot of foolishness when I was sick and not feeling good, especially during cold season. However, when you're going in the store and you're buying it from these companies, you got to make sure you're not wasting your money, and how effective or how much bioavailability is even in the product. Yes, the fad looks great. I'm going to get me colloidal silver because I have a cold, I'm sick. But if you're not getting it from a reputable source, you're wasting your money and you're just buying into a trend. And last but not least was extreme fasting or dry fasting. This is, you're not drinking water or eating while work. And for whatever reason, I don't know how we got to a point where that's healthy to dehydrate ourselves. But those are the fats. The only one I really want to cover is the carnivore diet. That went wild. That's why I'm a flexitarian. Again, I don't demonize meat. I don't think meat is a demon. I feel like if you get it responsibly sourced, responsibly raised, that's a better source of meat. Some of my meats I actually like getting out the country, but that's just neither here nor there. But I believe if you're doing a carnivore diet, and this is probably for the gym bros, the guys who just want to bulk up and get all, I'm a gym bro. You're messing with your heart because of the saturated fat. You're missing out on fiber. You're missing out on other phytonutrients that come from greens. It's not a whole diet. It's not a full diet. So to think that you're going to go on a carnivore diet and beef up and bulk up without any pressure or issues with your heart. And low key, if your colon could talk, it would want a divorce because you're putting a lot of pressure on organs of the body that's not used to all that meat. And don't give me, well, back in the cave days, you weren't there, you don't know, and they died off. They didn't live long lives. And you can say, oh, that's from this or that, but who knows? I'm just saying that in today's age and time, over consuming meat is not healthy for anybody. I don't care who you are. It should always be a balance. What was the other thing? Cold plunges. Lord help me. I remember I did a cold plunge. I thought my heart stopped, and this is not just from being weak. I'm in I'm not in the army. I feel like I'm not still in the army, but when I was in the army, we had a lot of cold extreme challenges and stuff we did. However, I went from a warm state to a cold state. And it's this brand that promotes this. I won't say their name, but they have like a shower, they have a infrared sauna, and they have a cold plunge, all in the same little suite. And you don't read the fine print. You should. I don't read it sometimes too. I just click the box because I want to go to the next screen. But a lot of these things are saying consult with your doctor. Don't do if you're pregnant. Don't do if you're this. Don't do if you're that. But we don't see that. Cold plunging can be very dangerous, especially if you haven't consulted with your doctor. Yes, the good part is it could reduce inflammation. However, you're risking hypothermia, you're risking shock, and I always say it wrong, arrhythmia, but it's the irregular heartbeat. You're risking that all for the sake of some trend you saw online. The health benefits, I always say the juice ain't worth the squeeze. So if you want to try it once just to do it, great. But don't let these influencers who wake up 5 a.m. in the morning and they're hopping right into the cold plunge, and then they're like, in this state. Now, mind you, there are some benefits to it, but I want you guys to get the other side of it. You're not missing out by not doing that. You know what you can actually do? You could take a nice shower, and the last 30 seconds of your shower, you could turn the water colder, just a little colder. That's going to activate. If you follow this week, this is mitochondria health. That's going to help with your ATP, your mitochondria, since they are known for helping regulate the temperature in your body. When you turn the cold on your environment on the outside, they are like little furnaces, so they start to activate, and this is what you call biogenesis. So don't go out and buy a cold plunge tub. Don't think you're missing out because you're watching all these people on social media doing these cold plunges. You are not missing out, and you maybe start saving your heart. What you can do in your own circle of influence, which means you don't spend no money, the last couple of seconds or minute of your shower, do a cold shower. That is also going to activate some of the same health benefits that they're preaching with this cold plunge. And I see the new thing with the bowl, and you do an ice face bowl thing. Again, save your money. Just put a cold washcloth or put some cold water on your face and keep it moving. Save your money. They're going to find every single way to get money out of you. And it's just silly. Yes, you put your face in there. You're going to boost up. You're going to wake up. Okay, I got it. Save your money because you're going to go buy a face bowl now. Now you got to go save your money. And then they telling you don't use the regular tap water. So now you giving Saratoga money, you giving you're giving all these people your money because now you can't use regular water on your face. Listen. All right, next one. I'm not going to do detox tea and flat tummy teas. We all know that's a joke. Right? We all know it's just diarrhea inducing food or supplement. We know that by now, right? We know that it's not helping you lose weight, it's helping you waste away, it's dehydrating you, it's robbing you of nutrients because it cuts the transit time. When you're eating, it should be 24 to 36 hours of transit time. So the food you ingest should have enough time from the saliva that starts breaking down some of it all the way through the esophagus into the stomach, which breaks down some more to the small intestine, large intestine. This is absorbing more nutrients into the body. It's like, oh yeah, I can use that. Oh yeah, I can use that too. And before it gets to the colon, even the colon is absorbing some stuff. But by the time it gets to the colon, it's ready. You can flush that. But I'm saying when it comes in diarrhea form, think of it. It's just going fast. They trying to grab nutrients out of poop that's just going out too fast. Nothing about that is healthy long term. In the interim, like one time, if you're trying to do like a sodium citrate, or if you're trying a magnesium sodium citrate, which is a laxative, or if you're trying to just cleanse out, there's a way to do that, but not for weight loss and not as a long-term trying to get healthy. Please save your money, people, when it comes to the detox teas, the tummy teas, the detox cleanse juices. Save your money. Now, let me be clear. There are some brothers and sisters out there who got their businesses and they are doing the juicing for you. That's cool because they're doing what you could be doing, which is juicing. Support them because they cut a step out of the process for you. I'm talking about going to one of these GNCs or vitamin shops and buying these pill forms of detox supplements. Save your money. Don't get that garbage. Save your money. What else I'll cover? Mouth taping. Don't do the mouth taping. That's just silly. You risk when it comes to mouth taping, it's a breathing obstruction. You risk choking and poor quality sleep because it's an adjustment that just doesn't make sense. It's okay to between your nose and your mouth to breathe. Nobody and nowhere said that you breathing through your mouth. And again, I'm talking about for healthy adults, healthy average adults. I mean, if you're on CPAP and you have breathing issues and you have obstruction to your breathing, that's a whole different thing. You shouldn't be putting tape on your mouth anyway. But I'm just saying, in general, taping on the mouth is a silly trend that went on way too far. Let's not bring that until 2026. When we know better, we do better. You're not missing out. I know what's happens sometimes is FOMO, fear of missing out. We see these influencers on TikTok and Instagram, and we're like, oh my God, we're missing out. You're not missing out. Save your tape, save your energy. It's silly. And that's pretty much it. I mean, obviously, silver water, I already talked about it a little bit. I already talked about overdosing. You're just wasting your money. We talked about supplements on episode 2 or 3. Go back to that episode for Wellness Wednesdays, and you'll hear my take on most, not even half, most of the stuff on the shelves. You'll have to do a third-party test or just ask chat, or just most of it, the bioavailability is shot. So what's happening is you're buying these supplements where the bioavailability, meaning that what your body actually can absorb, doesn't even happen. It just goes through. So that's a whole nother conversation, but it's a waste of money. And most of your nutrients should be coming from your diet, to be honest with you. You can supplement it, with certain nutrients. And we could talk about that another time, but just look at that episode. You'll get a better idea of saving your money on some of these. I think Ollie or Oli or all these gummies. And I'm telling you, rule of thumb: if the packaging looks colorful, like this, like my sister's line, I'm in her office, by the way, like that line in the back. If they got to do all of that for the packaging to get your attention, the product isn't speaking for itself. Like I said, a banana don't need all of that. An orange don't need all of that. Corset mushrooms don't need that. Ashwagandha, like the stuff that really works from nature, broccoli, they don't need all of that because it already speaks for itself on what it does. So be careful of the super creative, extra wording, marketing crap. When they got to say all this stuff on it, it's a distraction, and that should be one of your first signs of staying away. Which leads me, I like this. Come on, Flo. This leads me into what's about to happen, or it's proposed to happen. Right now, you got lobbyists who are trying to prevent it, food industry trying to prevent it. This is the ultra processed food industry, because I don't know if you know, but the statistic is 70% of our diet comes from processed foods now, which is coming out of a package or box or some type of something, long story short, the FDA proposed, hey, we need to do like I forgot what country does it, Chile. We need to be like some of the others. And on the front of the packaging now, we need to start creating a color system on if the food is healthy or not. So there's like I think they're going to do, or they're proposing again. This is still proposal. Red, yellow, green. So when you look at a box that got all the colors, it got all the colors on the box. It has all the zero fat this and the gluten free this and all this other stuff. At the bottom, there's still going to be a color code. I think it's going to be about sugar, sodium, and fat. One of the, and each one is going to be scored based on the color. So now companies are scrambling. They have lawsuits out and other stuff happening to start to prevent this, because no matter how creative their packaging gets, we're going to see that red, label saying this is a high sugar product. This is a high saturated fat product. This is a high sodium product. And this is something I shouldn't be regularly consuming. And that's going to change the game. I hope that goes through. I mean, it's still in proposal. A lot of powerful people with a lot of money probably don't want that to happen, but that'd be kind of cool. This was in January 2025, so it happened this year that they proposed this, and they call it FOP. So it's called front of package labeling or nutrition box, and it's going to give a better indication of what's inside the box. Like I told you guys on the other episode with food labeling, most of the lies are on the front, and most of the truth is on the back. But now we're going to get some truth on the front and some truth on the back. I say some truth because some of the stuff that's in our food doesn't have to be labeled based on the trace amount that's in there and based on it not being considered a food, even though it is something that can cause addiction or something that biohacks our senses. But that's for another day. That's why I try to get you to get organic, get from a trusted source, and try to stay away from packaged foods, because it's getting scary. Guys are having issues getting it up. Women are having reproductive issues. And there's mental health issues all over the place, and we can't figure out what it is. Job is not that stressful. Our spouses and families aren't that stressful. Go to the food. It's usually in the food and the water. You always got to go to the food and the water when a society starts getting a big issue of something like autism and other cognitive issues and delays. You have to go to the food and the water, because I'm telling you all, they're not going to tell us. They're not going to tell us. And don't be fooled when these companies get exposed and they got to pay out these lawsuits, because they made way more than they got to pay out, and they still doing what they got to do. Think of right now, the Mucinex company. They found out that most of that stuff is ineffective. It doesn't work. They're still on the shelf until next year. Red dye, 40, blue, yellow, green. Those dyes are linked to cancer and autism and ADHD and neurological deficiencies and defects in when they are consumed in a certain amount. There's linked. That's why they're banned in other countries. Now California is the first state to say, okay, we're going to get rid of it. But that's not until like, I think 2027, 2020. It's not even like now. So don't be fooled by the okie doke. You and your family need to stay sharp. And thank you for being on this platform with me, because I'm going to bring you what I know. I'm getting better with my research. I'm getting better with digging deeper and getting the answers. And I appreciate y'all being here. If there's any time you have a concern or question like y'all been doing, I appreciate it. I see it on TikTok. I see it on Instagram. Hey, Tasha, I got you on what ATP is. That was a great question. I'm going to reply back to you probably before the end of this evening. I know we're already late, but I got you on ATP because she asked me a question. If you guys are following on my Nutritional Wellness Guide platforms, this week I am dropping knowledge and information on mitochondria health, which are known as your cellular batteries. So when you're forget energy drinks, forget coffee, forget multivitamins and all this other stuff that we're consuming, your mitochondria has access to your ATP, which is a form of energy, a preferred form of energy. So you want to make sure that you're healthy on a cellular level. And unfortunately, some of these packaged foods are damaging us on cellular levels. They really are. And I'm not going to say intentional, but they really are. And that's what I want us to be on top of. But yeah, be on the lookout that for looking the news articles. I'm gonna keep you guys up to date with when it comes to FDA It's called FOP labeling. So they're going to start putting on the front of the label what's going on, so you can know red, yellow, green. Is this a good item or is this not a good item? And watch these raggedy companies start spending all this money into marketing design to throw us off and make it even harder to figure out what's good for us and what's not good for us, because that's their business, to confuse and sell, confuse. Even the stuff that they try to make simple is still to confuse you and to sell. That's just what it is. They'll put honeybees on the box. They'll put flowers and trees. They'll just make you think you're eating the most heart healthiest food on earth. And it's not that. I'm not going to call it garbage. I'm going to be nice tonight, but it's not that. It's something that's going to mess you up because of the processed nature of it, the bad seed oils they're using, the bad grains, the grains in this country. That's for another conversation. But just the bioengineered wheat now, the grain is just so degraded without the nutrients. That's why they usually got to enrich it or add nutrients to it, because it's so stripped of natural nutrients. That's why you're getting all these gluten issues and all these bloating issues and all these defects. If you know, you travel to Europe, you travel to some of these other countries who got a ban on some of the garbage that we're allowing in our food, you will not have the same issues when it comes to gluten, when it comes to your gut issues, when it comes to mental fog, when it comes to menstrual cycles. You're not going to have the same issues. That's why I believe you got to follow the food that's in the food. That's pretty much it, y'all. I try not to keep going. I try not to go past an hour. I know we're supposed to talk about hair growth. We did talk about it a little bit. Just be careful with the laser light therapies. There's still mixed evidence out there, and it's super expensive. But yeah, some people report positive results. I don't know if you guys know, I did a hair transplant. I'm so proud. I'm so proud of the results. I'm so happy. It wasn't much. I mean, it was a prevention thing. No one's ever said, "Oh, you were bald." I never got to that point. But I started seeing thinning in my crown and in my temporal, well, above the temporal areas. It's so weird when you point to yourself on camera. In this area, yeah, it was, the hairs were saying bye-bye. They were saying deuce. They were saying we out on me. And I don't know if they was just jumping off the hairline and just going. They was just, I was like, where y'all going? What did I do? I mean, I told the other ones, talk to them. Let them, like, hey, it's good. What am I doing? But anyway, it was such a great procedure. I went to Istanbul, Turkey. But yeah, that's pillow talk. But anyway, when it comes to hair, just again, be careful what products you're putting in your hair. Ladies, I know we all know by now, hopefully by now, that the glues and stuff have all these chemicals that are messing up reproductive, messing up menstruation, and messing up perimenopause and menopause. Uh, I'm sure we're starting to know that now, that the glues that they're using to keep it seeps into the scalp, is seeping past and is being absorbed into the endocrine system and is causing neurological issues. I'm sure we're on that. So I know some of you are using the stitching or whatever the case may be, but be careful, ladies, be careful, especially my Black and brown women, be careful. There's not enough clinical studies being done to see how these things are affecting you. When you put in these synthetic wigs on your hair and it's touching your skin and your neck, when it gets too hot outside, when it gets too hot in your car, these items start to leak. They start to leak because they're chemicals, they're chemically made, and they don't withstand every environment. So you have to be careful of the synthetic stuff you're putting on your head. Because again, it has been linked to reproductive issues. It has been linked to mental cognitive issues. It has been linked to fertility issues. It's made in China. No real regulation. It just goes straight to the shelf and straight to your hair. There's nobody mediating for you, nobody fighting for you. You have to fight for yourself. So when you're going into these hair care product places, and I know you've been using a product for quite some time, you've been using, just for me, perms and all this other stuff. I get it. That's what your hair was used to. But there's too much research out there now on a everybody level. There's too much research out there now to still be putting relaxers and some of the stuff in your hair because of what it's doing to your reproductive health. People getting fibroids. They never had fibroids before. There's things connected. And you know what the kicker is? And I'm going to end on this. There's so much foolishness out there in the hair care products and the skincare products in the food, in the environment, that it'll be hard for you to ever pinpoint what it is that cost you cancer, what it is that cost you fibroids, what it is that cost you a tumor on your ovaries. Fellas, it's hard for you to know why you're having ED right now. What can you point to? Our lifestyle is all over the place and stress is all over the place. It's hard to tell why your offspring may be dealing with ADH or autism. It's hard to point to one particular thing because there's so much foolishness out there. So I hope this show and this platform gets us back to the basics on what it is to have a nutrition and wellness journey. I can't wait for this book to drop, The Flexitarian Formula, because it is going to help you get back to the basics. It's going to have you clear house. It's going to have you declare and decree what you won't eat anymore, what you won't go back to anymore. It's certain things I just won't go back to. I'm sorry, I can't do sausages. I can't do pork, especially coming in from this country. It's certain things I just can't do. And God help my soul. God help my soul. Shane, we talked about this. I'm giving up dairy for 2026 and on. God help my soul. I gave up alcohol. I wasn't really a big drinker, but the science already showed premature age, and that's where your grades come from. That's where your mental fog come from. Yeah, it's knocking off the edge because you had a long day, and yeah, it's something to go to when you're hanging out with your friends. But as we get older, don't show up when you're younger. It's when you get old, when you get over that 40 hump, that's when it starts showing. And our lifestyles are so unintentional, it's hard to point to what's giving you hell in your health because there's too much stuff going on. And on top of that, you're not making time to work out. I don't care what injury you have. I don't care what what surgery you just came out of. There's always something you can do to get started when it comes to being active physically. I don't care who you are. You come to my Health Years Reset, and we'll get to it. I'm a certified personal trainer and a behavior change counselor. Let's hear all your excuses, and we are going to get to the bottom of it. But I say that in love. I don't know your situation. Somebody say, I don't got nothing, no arms, no legs. I don't got nothing. Even those people, believe it or not, can still work out. Look, if you ever, and this is all jokes aside, if you ever looked at the Paralympics, you will be inspired, you will be motivated. And the things we take for granted, these hands, our legs, being able to wake up, being able to breathe without tubes, being able to see, being able to smell, being able to taste, being able to have the senses that I was able to know I felt my face. The things we take for granted, and we don't do it on purpose. It's just because our lives are busy and we have a lot of distractions. But working in a hospital for many years, I've seen people on their sick bed who would give up their left lung to have one of your days. That's all I'm going to say. And I want us to get to a point where we're intentional about where we're going in our nutritional wellness journey. It's over an hour. I appreciate you guys. I love you all for being here. I felt like this was one of my real heartfelt episodes. I feel like I'm starting to get in my bag, and that's only because I'm seeing all the love in the comments. Just you guys just showing up, and I appreciate you. It's a long journey ahead. I'm a small fish in a big sea, and I'm going against the tide because nothing I'm talking about is the good stuff. This is not the stuff that the companies want to promote. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's coming knocking on my door saying, yes, that's right, thank you for telling the truth. No, that this is the long road. So thank y'all for being here, and I'll see y'all next Wednesday, episode 5. Yum on. It's so weird when I have to end this because then I gotta look for the end button. All right, here it is. Y'all take care. Good night. Thank you for being here. And those on the replay, don't forget to comment on the replay. I love you guys. I'm gonna start looking at your questions, and hopefully next week we get a Healthiest Reset participant so we can help them unscript and get them unstuck.